we normally are underestimating plants in all the aspects of their life. And there are some basic knowledge that are quite unknown by non-plant, let's say, people. For example, the number of plants. So when I speak about plant, please, may apologize. It's in a very broad sense. I mean, plants for me are not the botanical plant, are every single organism that is able to photosynthesize. And so the biomass of the plants on the earth, there are different estimations, but they are most of the estimation say that they are around 98, even 99% of the biomass. The biomass is so I mean, it's not the number of species, of course, on the earth, but the weight. So if we would be able to weigh all the living organisms on the earth, more than, let's say, from 97 until 99% of the mass will be made by plant. And this is something that is normally not well understood by people, that the life on the earth, it's a green life, it's a plant life. There are many false ideas about plant. One of them is that plants are incredibly ancient organisms, and they appeared on the earth well before animals. That, of course, this is true in general. There are among the first organisms, many of them were photosynthesizing organisms. But, for example, flowering plants that are, most of the plants that are surrounding us are quite modern organisms. So they appeared on the earth between the appearance of the first mammals and the appearance of the human. So is a flowering plant are quite modern organisms. Well, but I will not follow on the different field we are underestimating plant. I will start to tell you something about how a plant is built, because we need to understand that plants are completely different from animals. Of course, you know that plants and animals are very different, but you need to really understand the difference between plant and animals. And here I put something. So this is probably the most important slide of my talk. And plants are sessile organisms. Sessile means that they cannot move around, so they cannot displace themselves. It's not exact to say that plants cannot move. Plants can move a lot, but they cannot move from one place to the other. So there is an adjective for that, and this adjective is sessile. Sessile means that plants are rooted. They are rooted on the ground. So they can move a lot, but they cannot displace themselves. Well, being rooted is the huge difference with animals. And we are animals. Animals has the word animate in the word in animal state in the term animal itself there is this animation. So the main peculiarity, the main feature of animals is that they are able to move. So we understand all our world is can be understood just by movement. But plants are something completely different. Just imagine for a moment to be rooted. and as a plant. So we solve all our problems just by moving. And whereas the plant has not this possibility. So if we are rooted, you cannot move away when there is someone, for example, that wants to eat you. And so you are subjected to production. And how can you survive if you are rooted on the soil and there are animals around that want to eat you? There is just one possibility. You need to have a body that is completely different from an animal body. You need to be a plant. Plant evolved 400 million years, between 4 and 500 million years, to survive production. And how can you survive production? You need to have a body that is completely different from the animal body. For example, you cannot afford, if you are a plant, you cannot afford to have any single or double organs. We animals, we have all the functions that are, let's say, concentrate in specific organs that are able to make specific functions. But organs are a wonderful way to do something, but they are also a weak point. And every one of you know that every small problem in an organ can be a problem for the entire organism. So plants have no single or double organs because they cannot afford to have an organ. Every small predator, even a worms, would be enough to kill a plant by eating a small piece of a single organ. And this is an important point because plants have no organs, we think that they are also unable to have the function that are normally associated with that organs in animals. So in other words, because they have no eyes, we normally think that they are unable to see. Or because they have no lungs, we normally tend to think that they are unable to breathe, and so on. On the contrary, plants are able to perform all the functions that are performed by organs in animals by distributing the function on the whole body. And this is the biggest difference. So, because it's a model that is completely different. We are animals, so we have a kind of centralized model with the brain controlling the organs, and we use these models to build everything in our society. The animal model is the model that we use building our society, building our organization, building our companies, even building something modern, I don't know, our tools. Even a computer is normally, that seems to be something very modern, is built by following the same animal model. There is a processor that is just a kind of brain, and there are many, and there is the hardware that has also the same name, you know, the video, the audio, the memory, everything. It's just a nano. We always build something that is a kind of analog of our model. So plants have a different model. They are distributed. They are not centralized. They are much more robust from this point of view, so they can afford to have a production, to be predated in very strong quantities without losing the functionality. And I think my personal opinion is that the plant model could be incredibly important and incredibly interesting to be imitated in many problems of humanity. Well, plants, as I told you, plants are sessile, so they cannot display themselves, but they are, of course, able to move a lot, as many of you know. And in 1898, this is quite, it's an interesting movie, because this is I will show you now, the first movie showing movement in plants. This movie has been done by William Pfeffer, that was a preeminent German botanist. And what is striking in this movie is the year 1898. So that means just a few months after the first cinema, after the first cinema exhibition by Lumière brother, that was in the springtime of 1896, just a few months after, Pfeffer, this botanist, changed a little bit the technique, inventing what today we call time lapse to show the movement of plants. And so we have this is the first movie showing the growing of a tulip. And of course, the quality is not so nice, but it's astonishing to see this 1898 movie about plant. And this is the Desmodium and Mimosa pudica, showing the day and night movement. So. Of course, today we can. This is an important. The time lapse is an important tool for showing movement, and we can do something a little bit more detailed. Like, for example, this is a pine cone, and a pine cone is opening in when there is a dry environment, and is closing in a humid environment. And why it's interesting, because many movements in plants are based on the feature of the material itself. So how they are actually built that make the movement. So, or in other words, they are able to move without using any internal energy, or at least a lot of movement in plants are made without using any internal energy, like this Tarassacum, no? Look, this is the opening of a Tarassacum. There are 15 different movements in these movies. They have been all studied, and every single movement is produced without using any internal energy. Just have a look at this seed. This is an erodium seed. Erodium is able to move on the ground and to find a place where to penetrate in the soil. And what is unbelievable is that all this movement has been produced without any energy, absolutely any internal energy. So it's the material of the seed that it's enough to make all this movement. And this is part of a study that we did for the European Space Agency, because just imagine if we would be able to imitate this material for producing something artificial, able to penetrate in the soil and and to enter in the soil without using any internal energy. Of course, plants are also using a lot of, they are also able to produce movement by using internal energy. Carnivorous plants are well-known, very active movements that use a lot of energy. And but this is a specific plant because so carnivorous plants are not so many. Today we know that they are around 800 species, no more. And but even normal plants, like this is a bean, have a lot of wonderful movements, and all these movements are very well known to botanists. We have a lot of names for that, tropism, nasty, and so on. But what is interesting today that we are understanding that all these movements are not just the byproduct of the growth, how we were thinking until a few years ago, but they are active movements that they produce, for example, for sensing the environment. Look at this. Look at this movement here. This is these are young wild sunflowers. Okay, and so they move a lot, no? There is no doubt about that. And what is interesting is that what they are doing, actually, why they move so much, and this is one of. So now I will tell you why, and this is but the reason it's a little bit sound a little bit strange to our ear, because actually they are playing. But of course, when I use the term, the word playing, that it's a word that it has been created for describing a behavior of animals, and for all our history describe just the behavior of animals. When it is used to plant, sound strident, sound strange. And of course, in playing in animals has different feature, different nuance. But one of the reasons why animals are playing is to build social relationship. And in the case of the sunflower or wild sunflowers, it's the same. So in the first phase of their life, they build relationship, and because they are social plant. So if you grow one sunflower alone, and when it's adult, you put you mix this plant with the other wildflowers, they are unable to live together because they are unable to build a relationship, even chemical relationship, what you want, but they are social relationship. So this is, of course, a big problem, because so until a few years ago was forbidden to speak about plant behavior at all, because behavior was something just related to animals. And a big problem is to find the right term to describe what we are showing. And I had hundreds of papers rejected by reviewers just by terms, by the terminology. Why are you speaking about playing? Why are you speaking about memory? Why are you speaking about learning? Why are you speaking about communication and something like that? And they were kind enough to tell me just put the prefix phyto before, and this is enough to have a good, let's say, compromise. But I think that speaking about phytomemory, phyto-playing, phyto-behavior, it's stupid. It's just my personal opinion. It sounds strange. It's much better to enlarge the definition of the behavior to comprise also plant. Of course, plants are able to sense the environment. Plants are, even in this case, it's trivial to remind you that plants are much more sensitive than animals. Why much more? Because animals, they can move. So if something is changing in the environment, they can move away. Plants have no this possibility, so the only possibility for them to survive is to feel, to sense that something is changing in the environment very early, much earlier what the animals are able to do. So today we know, for example, that a single root apex is able to detect at least between 15 and 20 different physical and chemical parameters. They are very sensitive organisms. Also the amount, so the quantity, the sensitivity of these organisms is unbelievable. And what's the normal, let's say, the mainstream idea about plant sensing? Let's have a look at this sentence by Gibson. Gibson is I don't know if someone of you know, he was a very prominent ecologist. He wrote, for example, this ecological approach to visual perception, that it's one of the most important, possibly the most important book on the subject. Well, have a look at what Gibson was writing about plant sensing. The environment of plants, organisms that lack sense organs and muscles, is not relevant in the study of perception and behavior. We should treat the vegetation of the world as animals do, as if they were lumped together with the inorganic minerals of the world, with the physical, chemical, and geological environment. Also, this is a very prominent scientist. This is the vision of science. And I don't know why, because there is really nothing true in this. So, but it's not an opinion. There are hundreds of papers about plant sensing, so it's not an opinion. So plants in general are not animate. It's untrue. You had the evidence, no, that they are able to move. They do not move about. Okay. They do not behave. They lack a nervous system, this is true. And they do not have sensations. And this is untrue. In this respect, they are like the object of physics, chemistry, and geology. So this is 79, it's not 200 years ago. And so this is the idea of plant even by scientists. And I think this is completely and totally a wrong vision about plant. Well, among the many things that plants are able to sense, of course, many of you know that plants are able to sense light, gravity, chemicals, and so on. But they are also able, for example, to sense frequencies, single frequencies, sounds. And this has nothing to do with the music, that it's a kind of naive stuff that plants are able to hear music and to have also, to show also let's say, pleasure for some kind of music or not. This is not science. But plants, for example, are able to sense single frequencies. This is a single frequency at 200 Hertz, and you can see that all the root of this chord, this is called bending toward the source of the sound, and plant roots are also able, by the way, to produce sound. So they are not just able to detect sound, they are also able to produce sound. This is something that we showed a few years ago. And these sounds are probably used they are used by for growing the root apparatus in a non-chaotic way. Well, among the why 200 Hertz, for example, it's important, it's interesting for plants. Why plant roots should be able to feel, to sense the 200 Hertz? Because 200 Hertz is the main frequency in the sound of the running water. And just 1 week ago, or 2 weeks ago, was published a paper showing that plants roots were able to turn in a Y chamber, to turn right or left just according to the sound of the water. So they were able to detect the arm of the chamber where there was the sound of the running water, not the actual water, but just the sound. Well, another impressive ability of plants, at least of one species of plant, has been shown just recently. This is in Current Biology of 2014, two Chilean botanists, Giannoli and Carrasco, they showed the unbelievable ability of this Bocchilla trifoliolata. What's able to do the Bocchilla trifoliolata? Bocchilla trifoliata it's a well-known wine. It's a climbing plant of temperate forest of Chile. Well, and has been known for centuries. But in 2014, these two botanists, they found something almost unbelievable. Because they found that Bocchilla trifoliata was able to imitate the leaf of the tree where they were climbing on. But, and modifying the morphology of the leaves in such an incredible way that they were able, a single Bocchilla plant was able to imitate until 3 or 4 different species at the same time. So I mean, a single plant of Bocchilla trifoliata starting to climb on a first species, on a first tree, imitating the leaf of this tree, and after arriving on another tree, the same plant, changing the morphology of the leaf, and another one, until 4. And all the time, the leaves of these trees were completely different. And so you can see here many of these where you see T is the tree, and who is the wine, is the Bocchilla. You can see that the ability to imitate it is unbelievable. And they were also able to imitate spines, but the picture that I like more is this one, because here we can see something really interesting. So this is the wine, and this is the tree. And this tree has a leaf with an indented, it's indented in English, I don't know, indented margin, okay, of the leaves. And you can see that Bokile is trying to reproduce, but it's difficult. So it's unable, no? But you can see that he is trying to reproduce the indentation. And so these papers opens a lot of questions, because there are two big mysteries here. One is, how can a living organism change the morphology of his body in such a flexible and unbelievable way, in such a short time? There is nothing similar. And second, the most important, most relevant for me, how can they know what they were going to imitate? Because one problem is how they are going to produce these new leaves. But the first problem is they need to know what to imitate. No, that's the problem. And well, we focused on this first problem. How can they know what is the subject to imitate? And of course, we found this guy, Gottlieb Haberland, is another very important German botanist. He looks a little bit strange, but it's just because of at that time all the picture of the people seems like this one, because they were saying don't close the eyes during the picture, no? Stay with the eyes open all the time. Yeah? And so many of them, they look a little bit insane. But Gottlieb Haberland, it's a huge botanist. He is, for just to tell you, who invented the propagation in vitro that we are using today, every one of us, and has been invented by Haberland. And well, Haberland proposed at the beginning of the last century that this is the New York Times, the Plants Are Haze botanist showed that he proposed that plants were actually able to see. And when I say see, I mean actually see, not detecting light. We know that plants are able, incredibly good in detecting different light, but they were able to see the shapes. And one of his students published this very nice paper on nasal botany, where actual picture of were taken by using the epidermis of the leaves, and this theory was so well known at that time that Francis Darwin, the son of Charles and the first professor of plant physiology in the world in Cambridge, were teaching about plant, the ability of a plant to see. But after this was completely disappeared from the history of science, but we think that there is space for this theory to come back, because this is actually what we proposed just recently, that Bocchina trifoliata was actually able to detect shape by using the convex cells of the epidermical layer of the leaves. Okay, Now, after, if someone of you are more interested in detail, they can ask me, because this is a little bit of a technical point. And now I want to show you something about the spatial space, the ability of a plant to detect space. And well, you know, this is not a plant, this is a slime mold. It's a very nice subject of investigation. Has been used for making, this is an unicellular, multi-nucleus, multinucleate, but an unicellular organism. And the slime mold is able to do something that is unbelievable. Okay, let's have a look at this. This is this is the map of the region around Tokyo. The big yellow ball is Tokyo, and the small white spots are the main town around Tokyo. Okay? Now, linking within a network all in a functional network, all the town of a region like this, it's a big engineering problem. But now look at what is able to do the slime mold. The slime mold started to grow to fill the whole surface, and I don't know if you can see what is reuptaking all the part of the body that is not more working in transport. Okay, so at the end you have a network that is incredibly similar to the actual network of train network around Tokyo. And how much? Have a look at this. This is the real highway system of different countries, and this is the highway system made by the slime mold. And what is interesting is that there are some mathematical way to describe the efficiency of a network, and of course, okay, the real highway system of Italy is very simple, but and the slime mold is able to reproduce exactly in 8 hours. And what is interesting is that the efficiency of the network, for example, built by the slime mold for China, is much more efficient of the real one. For example, is avoiding, you can see this duplication that are in the real highway system. And the slime mold is actually used today. There is in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Tube, there is an office where they use the slime mold for the first scratch of the new networks that they have to prepare. And because the first one so Mato is the scientist that discovered this one. It's a Japanese scientist. And well, have a look at this. This is a parasite plant. It's called the cuscuta. Cuscuta has 3 days to find a host after germination. And you can see how it's able to find this tomato and to parasitize the tomato in a very short time, you know? So it's very efficient on that. Well, so Cuscuta is able to sense that there is another plant. able to be parasitized? Well, if you put the cuscuta between a tomato and a wheat, the story is to choice. Well, what is better to the tomato or the wheat? At the end, the tomato is always the preferred choice because it's much easier to parasitize. But what is interesting is that in case there is no tomato, even wheat can work. So it's a plant that is able to make a choice and to decide what to do. Well, until now we talked about specific plant, like cuscuta is a parasitic plant, so it's a non-photosynthesizing plant. But let's have a look at this bean. This is a bean. It's a normal bean, and you know that bean are climbing plants, so they like to find a support, a pole where to climb. Okay, here we are in my lab, and this is a pole, and this is a bean. So you can see that the bean know exactly where is the support. No, there is any doubt about that. No, I didn't tell him where is it. This was a really big scientist discovery. But anyway, so the bean is perfectly aware of the support, and is trying to do everything to reach. You can see that he already did use a hook on the top of the shoots. That it's in the right direction. You can almost feel the efforts. Okay, another try. Oh. And look how relaxed it is now. The movement of the leaves. It's everything changed. Really, I'm not joking. So it's not a joke. It's much more relaxed. But what is interesting is that this movie show has, without any doubt, without any possibility of error, that plants are completely aware of the physical world around them. So this being exactly know how is the physical world around them. Well, but you could say, okay, they are able to know about the physical world, but they are also able. Are they also able to sense the behavior or to understand the behavior of other plants? Well, and okay, let's stop this one just a moment. I will tell you what this is. Another experiment we did, very complex. We put a pole in the middle of two beans, and we started a competition. You can see they are sensing, they start to compete to reach the pole. There is a winner, a loser. And what is interesting is what the loser is doing. Now I will tell you, and after, he is searching for an alternative on the background, and at the end, because there is no other possibility to grasp a support, he is giving up. But what is interesting is, I will show you again the movie. You have, the most important part is what is doing the right bean when the left bean wins the race. Have a look. Okay, so they are sensing. Now they feel that there is a pole. Did you see how changed the behavior? And look what's happened now. Okay, this changed completely direction. At the same moment the winner was reaching the pole. It's not so clear because the movement is a movement on the on the third direction. So this is this movie is showing us that this being knows that he loses the race, so he's able also to understand. I want to show you something. I have another 10 minutes. I wanted to use them for showing something. I don't know if I have it with me. Okay. Something a little bit completely different. That is something about plant communication and especially about pollination. So you know that plants are using many animals as vectors of pollens, of course, insects, but even birds, mammals, and also reptiles. So even the humans, even humans are used as a vector of pollen in many, for example, the palm dactyr, what's the name in English? I don't know. The palm, the fruit of the palm is I mean, in many palms they need to be pollinated by human. There is no other way for producing dactyr. So plants are using all animals for the transportation of pollen. Well, now normally the transportation of the pollen is a kind of fair business. You bring me the pollen from one flower to the other, and I pay you with the nectar, that it's a very energetic and sweet substance. But there are many plants, like many orchids, species that make a trick, so they don't pay nothing in change for the transportation of the pollen. So these orchids, they are incredibly good in imitating insects. No, they have been called, this is a Nature paper, the flower of seduction. And now let's have a look at this movie that is very interesting. So this is the, but before I want to tell you something about this mimesis of these orchids, because it's something incredibly complex, because it's not, they are just not imitating the shape. These flowers are able to imitate the shape, they are able to imitate the texture, and they are able to imitate the pheromones, so the smell of the female of specific hymenopter. So have a look. This is a non-social wasp. Okay, and this is the lady. Okay. Okay, he's ready. He's smelling. Okay, arrive, touch, everything is correct, and you can see that it's very happy. No, it's very happy. And during the sex, look at the orchids. He's putting these two horns on the wasp. Let's wait. Now the wasp is trying to remove the horns, but they are quite stable. And well, these are two organs full of pollens, So orchids are using these insects in for transporting pollen just by manipulation, without giving the insect nothing back. And the trick is so strong that when there is the flowering of these orchids, the female of these insects, they feel that there are no male around, and so they produce for parthenogenesis a new generation of just male, that they all went to make sex with the orchids. And so forth, until the flowering period of the orchid, there is no way for the insects to reproduce. And this is one. It's a very common. It's a very common way to manipulate animals. But there are much more sophisticated ways. One is the so-called myrmecophily. You know, myrmecophily is the relationship with ants. So many plants have a specific specific relationship with ants in such a way that ants are providing defense for the plant, and plants in change provide the ants with food and drinks and also lodge. And this is, for example, sorry. This is an a South American acacia that is producing this big horn where the ant can stay inside. Even the hole in the horn has been produced by the plant just for as a place for the ants. Okay. After the plant is producing also this fruit body. This orange stuff is produced just for the ants, so that it's the perfect diet for the ants. So they are able to take the fruit body and to bring in the nest. Okay. So everything is produced by the plant for the ants, and also this is the extra floral nectar. This is a nectar produced specifically for the ants. Okay, everything is made by the plant for the ants. In change, the ants are defending the plant from everything, from, let's say, even from other plants. So this is it's a climbing plant. The ants, they arrive and they start to hit the plant. Okay, and also the ants are attacking every single predator, not just insect like this grasshopper, but even much bigger predators like herbivores of any size. Okay, and so they are so good ants that in Amazonia you can see in the forest this acacia plant in the middle of a circle completely cleaned by any plant that were called by people of Amazonia Devil's Gardens, because they were kind of a mystery. These Devil's Gardens were actually made by ants. But now let's see something more mysterious. Because if you put some bread on this plant, the ants, they arrive and they remove the bread. Okay, let's try with the sugar. Sugar, it's the most precious things for a ant. And look what they are doing. They are removing the sugar from the plant. This is something almost unbelievable, because it's as I told you, is the most precious thing that you can give to a ant. So how is it possible, this? Well, I will make short the story. We discovered that in the nectar, in the extrafloral nectar, the plants are putting neuroactive substances that are that first make actually dependent the ants. And second, once the ants are dependent from the drugs, they are modulating the level of the drug according to the behavior of the ants. So if the ants are good in defending the plants, they are increasing the drug. If they are not good, they are decreasing the drugs. And this is something that is much more common of what we can think in the world of plants. Last year in Science has been published a wonderful paper describing the use of caffeine by the citrus, like orange, the orange flowers. So the orange open the flower, and the insects, the bee, let's say, arrive inside of the flower, and the flower is able to estimate the amount of pollen that is brought by the bee, and how the bee is able to bring this pollen. And if the bee is good, immediately they increase the quantity of caffeine in the nectar, so that the bee drink the nectar and remind of that plant and remember that species. In case, on the contrary, when the bee is no good, so they remove immediately all the caffeine, because they don't want to see anymore that bee around. And so this kind of manipulation, chemical manipulation in plants seems to be much more common than what we were thinking just a few years ago. Well, it's more than 1 hour, and thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, I will be happy to answer you.